Hey, what's up everyone? This is Peter Jennings. I go by CSURAM88 across the daily fantasy industry. And back again here at FantasyLabs doing another model preview. This time for the Wyndham Championship, and feel pretty good about this tournament. A lot of golfers that I like. A lot of guys that Colin, our PGA director, has been bullish on in the past. So I feel good about course fit. I feel good about the model and think there's some really nice plays within this. So hope this helps you guys, and let's dive right into it. So taking a look here at the model that I built, it does backtest really well. 4.45 points. Around 4 points is an average model. Anything above is great. Getting up into the 5-point ranges is almost impossible, but when you do get there with the right model, with the right course fit, it's really great. So 4.5 or 4.45 is fantastic, and I feel really good about this specific model. And one thing, again, that I talk about pretty much every time on these model previews is the concept of making multiple models. And that's what I do every week. I make normally 15 to 20 of them, and from there, I can kind of see who's popping in consistent places, and I can make a lot of lineups leveraging the lineups tool, which I think is really, really nice, especially when you're trying to multi-enter a big GPP. So specifically to this one, this is one that I like a lot for cash games. I have long-term adjusted round at 26 points. I have long-term green and regulation score at 5, so I am rating green and regulation quite a bit in this model. Normally I don't do much with long-term, and it's normally all about short-term for me, which is how I capture current form. But because of the way the course is set up, being a par 70 and being an accuracy course, I really want guys who just did a ton of greens. So no driving distance here. I do have long-term driving accuracy score at 9 points. I have long-term birdie score at 4, which is a little lower than what I've been doing. Still chasing birdies and looking at things like weighted birdie average, but just bake that a little bit into the model here. Then I have recent green regulation score at 33, which is a critical stat. The two biggest ones always in my models are recent GIR and long-term adjusted round. So I then have recent driving accuracy score at 9 points, and scrolling a little bit farther down, I also have course adjusted round at 14 points. There's a lot of course history here, and I think it's definitely important. So I put that into the model, and as you can see here, everything else is a 0. So good backtesting number, and let's see who came out here in the model. So let's just scroll over to the side here. We have Kevin Na, the #1 guy. I like him quite a bit. I think he's one of the really nice plays. The reason he's popping so well in the model, his long-term form is fantastic. His long-term adjusted round, his driving accuracy is good. His long-term green regulation score is fine. But here's where he's really popping is his recent adjusted round and his recent green regulation. He's been fantastic, and his accuracy has also been fantastic. So he lacks in distance, but he's one of the most accurate guys out there, and I think he's a great course fit. The only thing that makes me not like him more than some other guys is his adjusted round course form is not that great. Obviously, there's only one count here in the database, but yeah, it's nothing to write home about. Norlander is the second guy on my model, and I talked about him on the podcast with Colin, which you guys should definitely check out. The issue that Colin had with him is just not enough volume, and yeah, that's the thing you see here. He's not playing in every tournament the DraftKings has, and the quality of tournaments he's playing in is not as high, but he's making a ton of cuts. Hasn't missed a cut since April, and I think he's a really nice play at 6,600. There's a couple other value plays that I like a little bit more, but I do think he's an interesting option. Love Furyk at 11,000. I think he's a great play. Jerry Kelly's too cheap at 7,300, even though he burned me last week with a pretty miserable performance. He's been missing a lot of cuts lately, but 7,300 I think is still fine. I did have that great showing at the Travelers, but we'll see. He's a tournament play for me more so than a cash game just because of all these missed cuts that we see here recently. Ches Reavie is one of the elite plays, one of my favorite guys. Great accuracy. 6,300 is way too cheap. That's Colin's guy. Hitting a lot of greens in short term, so I like him a lot. Webb Simpson might be my favorite top-tier golfer. If you look here at Webb Simpson, you know, he's been consistent relatively. The putter was an issue for him, switching from a longer putter, but he's starting to find it out. Did miss the cut at the U.S. Open, which that I don't put a ton of weight into that. Obviously, it's important, but that was a really tough tournament, and obviously with the best players in the world. And recently, he's been a lot better than that. So I think he's a good play, and the reason I think he's an elite play is if you go over here, he has the best course history pretty much of everyone. A great adjusted round. He's never missed the cut here. are the ones that we have in the database. I believe he has 6 top 25s in a row. So he's a fantastic play, and if you're believing course history, he's a guy that you definitely want to plug into your lineups. Wesley Bryan had a great showing last week and just been putting up great scores. The issue for me with him is he's not playing high-quality tournaments. He's playing a lot of web.com and other tour stuff, so that's my issue with him, but I do think he's a good play. Jason Duffner, super consistent. Just looking through here, he hasn't missed a cut since the Masters, and before then it was rattling off consistent paychecks. So he's a great cash game play and certainly someone that I'll have exposure to there. Love Bill Haas also has good course history, and he's the local, so I think he's a great play at 9,600. Matsuyama is a tournament play only for me. I do think he's coming into form a little bit. The hip injury was a concern, but his most recent showing at the PGA Championship is encouraging. And the reason he's a tournament play is he's made so many birdies, and I'm not sure as many people will be on him, given that he's missed so many cuts lately. Tyrell Hatton is Colin's up-and-coming guy. I think he's fantastic. Passed the eye test for me. Looked great at the PGA Championship. Great showings at both the British and the PGA, and then the Travelers. I'm going to have a lot of exposure to Tyrell Hatton. Boo Wiggly, Martin Laird, marginal plays. I like McGirt quite a bit. Love Cabrera Bello. Ryan Moore coming off the win. I think he's a really nice play. He's really found his form. Pains me to say Keegan Bradley's probably a good play. Don't mind Spencer Levine at 5,900 if you need another punt. And then the last guy I'm going to talk about, or last couple guys I'm going to talk about, Roberto Castro, 6,000 is just too cheap for him. If you look at his game log, he's a guy who's making a lot of cuts. And at 6K, that's just way too cheap. Had that bad stretch there in the beginning part of the year, but since the Heritage, he hasn't missed a cut, which is great. I mean, you're getting a long stretch of golf where he's been consistent and making cuts. So that's what you're really looking for in those guys below 7K, and at 6K, he's a great discount. And in addition to that, he's one of Colin's favorite guys, which makes me like him even more. And then the last guy I'm going to talk about is Justin Thomas. I think this is a great spot to take him. I'm probably going to have a lot of exposure to him in tournaments, potentially even in cash games. And I think he's a guy that can make a lot of birdies, can string great rounds together. Had a great showing at the end of the Travelers with that 62. Occasionally just throws up these really nice rounds where he strings together a ton of birdies. So I think he's a great option this week at 8,600. If you look at the odds to win, he's right up there with everybody, and he's significantly cheaper than a lot of these guys. So I think he's a phenomenal play. So that's it for me here with this model preview, guys. Some other guys that I like in here, like John Rahm and Patrick Reed, who's expensive. I didn't talk too much about. Those are mostly tournament plays for me just because of their cost. But I think there's a lot of great players in this field. I hope to see, of course, more of you guys at top of the leaderboard, and good luck in all your contests going forward.